What if I told you that Molly Qerim didn't just quit ESPN? She detonated a nuclear bomb right under Stephen A. Smith's empire? Overnight, the so-called Queen of First Take walked away from the network without a goodbye, without a farewell montage, not even a fake tear on camera. And the very next day, boom! She's linked to a brand new deal with Fox Sports. Coincidence? Or the biggest betrayal ESPN's ever seen? Why did she run? Who pushed her out? And is Stephen A.'s $20 million ego finally catching up to him? Buckle up, because this scandal is wild. For nearly a decade, Molly Qerim sat in the middle seat of First Take, juggling the fire-breathing rants of Stephen A. Smith, the rotating parade of celebrity guests, and the endless chaos of ESPN's loudest circus. She was the calm in the storm, or at least that's how the corporate suits wanted it to look. But behind the polished smiles and carefully curated debates, the pressure cooker was reaching its boiling point. Because while Stephen A. was being hailed as the face of the network, cashing $20 million a year to scream into a camera, Molly was quietly earning a fraction of that. And when you stack that paycheck next to the stress of managing Stephen A.'s volcanic ego every single morning, it doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to figure out why she finally snapped. Her exit wasn't just a resignation, it was an escape. ESPN insiders describe it as an emergency landing, a sudden crash out of Bristol headquarters that nobody saw coming. No farewell show, no emotional montage of greatest moments, just a late-night Instagram story that read like a breakup text. And the next morning, her chair was empty, gone, vanished, not even a coffee mug left behind. The strangest part? Stephen A.'s reaction. You'd expect America's loudest sports personality to have a whole sermon prepared, maybe a 20-minute rant on live TV. Instead, what we got was something far creepier. A carefully measured monologue delivered in his soft, apology voice. You know the one. The same tone he uses when he's forced to walk back some outrageous hot take. He praised Molly, called her a friend, claimed he leaned on her countless times. But then, with a shrug, he dropped the line that raised everyone's eyebrows. The details, quite frankly, are none of y'all business. Excuse me, Stephen A. Did you just say the departure of your decade-long co-host is none of our business? This is the same guy who comments on every NFL trade rumor, every NBA locker room fight, every Kardashian dating scandal, and suddenly, when it's his own house falling apart, it's all mind your business? Yeah, that did sit right with fans. And here's where the timeline gets messy. Sports Business Journal had already reported that Molly turned down ESPN's contract extension despite having months left on her deal. The plan, according to ESPN execs, was for her to ride it out until the end of the year. But then the leak happened. Someone spilled the beans early, and Molly, backed into a corner, made the split official on her own term. That, my friends, is not just a business decision. That's someone saying, "You're not going to control my story. I'll end it my way." Now here's where the paychecks come. Molly was reportedly making $2 to $3 million a year. Sounds nice. Until you remember Stephen A. Smith is pocketing $20 million annually. Do the math. He's making 10 times she was earning, even though her role as moderator was the glue that kept the whole circus from descending into complete chaos. Imagine babysitting Stephen A., Shannon Sharp, Chris Mad Dog Russo, and a rotating cast of ex-athletes every morning, and still being treated like a background. At some point, that disrespect becomes louder than any salary number on a contract. And don't forget, this wasn't her first rodeo with controversy. Molly had already been the target of online critics who claimed she talked too much, interrupted too often, or misunderstood her. Yet, when she took a day off earlier this year and Peter Schrager filled in, fans flooded Twitter begging ESPN to replace her permanently. Think about that. She spends 10 years keeping the show afloat, but the moment someone else sits in the chair for one episode, the internet crowns him. It was a thankless job, and shit. The writing was on the wall, but what made truly explosive wasn't just the departure, it was what came next. Because instead of quietly disappearing into media retirement, Molly Qerim made the boldest move imaginable. She jumped ship to ESPN's biggest rival, Fox. Molly's Fox Sports deal didn't just make headlines, it sent shockwaves through the entire sports media. Suddenly, the moderator who had been overshadowed for a decade was no longer in Stephen A.'s. She was the headline, the marquee name, the centerpiece of a rival network's ambitious. Fox wasn't just hiring her, they were making a. This was a power move, a calculated strike that said loudly, ESPN, you undervalued her for too long, and now we're cashing in on your. Sources close to the situation, anonymous of course, hinted at negotiations that would make even the most hardened media executive. According to one insider, Fox offered Molly editorial control that ESPN could only. She wouldn't just sit quietly in the middle of arguments. She would guide the debates, call the shots, and finally earn the respect she. And let's not ignore. Fox reportedly sweetened the deal to the tune of a multi-million-dollar package that finally closed the gap in her and her former co-host's astronomical. For the first time, she wasn't just a cog in a billionaire network machine. She was a player on her own. Social media erupted. Fans, analysts, and former co-hosts alike. One viral read, "Molly walking into Fox like a queen leaving a kingdom of..." said, "Stephen A. Smith just realized you can't buy loyalty, but Fox just bought..." Even fake accounts and bots joined the chorus, painting Stephen A. as the greedy overlord who hoarded all riches while letting his co-host rot in. The internet, as always, delivered both praise and criticism, but the narrator, Molly, had flipped. Meanwhile, back at ESPN, chaos reigned. Executives scrambled to patch the hole left, throwing Amina Smith into the moderator chair as a temporary bandage while auditioning. Ratings, insiders whispered, wavered for the first time. Viewers noticed the absence of Molly's hand, someone who could calm the storm when Stephen A. went nuclear. Without her, debates threatened to spiral into chaos or worse, boredom. It was a delicate balancing act, and ESPN was suddenly forced to confront just how much they relied on. Then there were the whispers behind. Had Stephen A. her out? Or was he powerless to stop it, trapped by his own ego and the budget? Industry insiders speculated endlessly. Some suggested he had faked for her during contract talks, leaving Molly feeling undervalued. Others hinted at personal friction, a simmering tension that had built over years. For the truth, the optics wing. For years, Stephen A. was the untouchable king of the morning empire. But now, former co-host was standing tall across town, free to tell her story, free to shape the narrative, and free to finally get what she deserved. And let's not forget that. Some cheered, thrilled to see a veteran moderator claim her pendants. Others criticized, claiming she left the show mid-season, abandoning the fans. But they had leverage, experience, credibility, and following. She had transformed from a background moderator into a strategic force, a reminder that even in a network dominated by superstar, talent and respect could not. By the time her first day at Fox aired, the industry had changed overnight. Social media debates, speculation about ESPN's internal dysfunction, and the looming question of Stephen A.'s response created a storm that no pain. One thing was clear. Molly Qerim's exit was more than indignation. It was a warning shot, a disruption, and a personal triumph rolled into one move. But the shockwaves didn't stop at ESPN. Molly's move to Fox Sports immediately reignited debates about power, money, and influence. Was this just a salary dispute? Or had ESPN systematically undervalued the very talent that kept First Take from collapsing under Stephen A.'s daily canes? Analysts argued that Molly's decade of moderating explosive personalities gave her unmobility. Her presence had been the bone of the show, the glue holding us together, and ESPN had let her walk for less than half of what her form earned. Brutal. Loyalty and skill could be tossed aside for the sake of one show. Industry wild. One insider quipped, "Stephen A. Smith may be screaming louder than ever, but Molly is quietly laughing all the way." Another leak suggested ESPN executives were panicked, pulling every trick in the book to salvage ratings, auditioning multiple moderators in rapid succession, while desperately hoping no one noticed the value. Meanwhile, social media was a battlefield. Memes of Stephen A. looking shocked went viral, and Twitter exploded with hot takes comparing ESPN to a sinking ship, while Fox became the shining opportunity. And yes, the tension between Molly and Stephen A. was impossible to ignore. Although he publicly maintained that her departure was none of y'all business, the timing, the Instagram silence, and the immediate Fox deal all hinted at a deeper rift. Some insiders claimed that Stephen A. had bragged about helping other colleagues secure deals. Yet when it came to Molly, the co-host who had managed his wildest mornings, he allegedly remained eerily quiet. Was it oversight, ego, or just good old-fashioned network politics? No one knows for sure, but speculation was rampant. The real kicker? Molly's new role at Fox Sports wasn't just a lateral move. She was stepping into a position of power, with editorial control and the ability to shape discussions her way. No longer a silent moderator in the background, she became a headline-making force. One Fox executive reportedly said, "Molly doesn't just moderate debates, she commands them. And that's exactly what we need to shake up the morning show world." For the first time in years, she could steer the conversation, hold the spotlight, and finally earn the recognition that had been denied to her at ESPN. As the weeks rolled on, the impact of Molly's exit became impossible to ignore. Ratings comparisons, social media analytics, and internal gossip all pointed to one undeniable fact. ESPN had miscalculated. They had allowed a veteran talent to walk, and in doing so, had handed a major opportunity and a new level of influence to a direct competitor. Meanwhile, Stephen A. Smith's dominance, previously unquestioned, now faced a tangible, not in the form of another co-host, not in the form of a guest analyst, but from someone who knew his game inside and was now playing it on her own terms. Molly Qerim's departure and subsequent Fox Sports deal wasn't just a career move. It was a seismic shakeup in the world of sports media. It exposed pay gaps, ego clashes, and network priorities, all while proving that even the loudest voices cannot silence talent, respect, and strategic moves. One thing is certain, the story isn't over, and Stephen A. Smith may finally have someone standing up, someone who's done waiting in the back. Molly walked away, and the ripple effects are just getting started. Can you imagine what Stephen A. Smith will say? Will he finally address the pay gap and the tension, or let Molly's Fox Sports takeover haunt him silently? What other secrets lurk behind ESPN's glossy pod? Smash that like button if you want the inside scoop on all these explosive media shakeups. Do you think Molly made the smartest move of her career, or is this just the beginning of a new And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell, because when the next bombshell drops, you'll want to be the first to know.